Hello everyone, it's Dark7. Today we are playing a graveyard focused Dimir EMET-SELCH brew, resembling like a Sultai Crabwine decks, but without green, without Vengewine. So we are not going that hard on the graveyard, but still depending a lot on it. But instead of getting the Vengewines back, the deck is focused on unearthing or Cetonia Nightmaring, Oculus or ML-Selch or Frog back into play. Also, in addition to that, we have Narcomoeba Prized Amalgam, a little combo that providing us with the free creatures which we can use then to sacrifice on our Flare of Denials or Flare of Malice. Narcomoeba was so good in this deck and it provides like a free creature in play which you can sacrifice to a Flare of Denial, and sometimes that even happens on turn 1 when you just play the Stitcher Supplier. So we have only the best, the premium graveyard fillers. So four Stitcher Suppliers, four Hedron Crabs, and two Otherworldly Gazes. So in a comparison to um, Sultai Crabwine, I'm not forced to play like verse graveyard fillers like Merfolk Secret Keeper, more Gazes, and whatever else. Also, we are losing obviously Vengewines, Creeping Chills, but this deck is playing a different game. It's not trying to be that aggressive, to go that wide, but instead focusing on the raw power of reanimated targets like turn 2 Oculus and flipping EMET-SELCH on turn 3 and 4, or just going with Narcomoebas, Amalgams, or Psychic Frog. It has a lot of different ways to play it, but the thing is that it's hard to play Sultai Crabwine today because that deck does not have interaction, no removal, no counter spells, and today it's all about killing creatures and countering important spells against combo decks. So in this version, we have both. We have Fatal Push, we have Flare of Denials, more Flare of Denials in the sideboard, even some Flare of Malices, and we are still can be very aggressive in the early game and go crazy with Oculus or EMET-SELCH. EMET-SELCH flipping is fairly easy to do in this deck, and when it flips, it's always game over whenever I flipped it, and it can flip very easily, very quickly. So there are a bunch of ways that you can play like Oculus on turn 2. So one way is to go Hedron Crab plus Fletch plus Unearth. Second is same thing with Stitcher Supplier, or you can go turn 1 Stitcher Supplier, turn 2 Cetonian Nightmare, bring back Oculus into play, sacrifice Supplier, or you can play Supplier turn 1, then go turn 2 Phyrexian Tower, sacrifice Supplier, mill 3 more, and just hard cast your Oculus on turn 2. That is also very strong play. So bunch of ways to do it early, bunch of ways to be aggressive with it, and we have 10 spells in our deck, digging graveyard, making sure you can always do something broken on in the first turns. Okay, EMET-SELCH, 10 cards, which fills the graveyard. Also, we have other cards. Oculus fills graveyard as well. Psychic Frog, everything is kind of related to the graveyard. So flipping EMET-SELCH is very easy in this deck. This is probably the best EMET-SELCH deck out there that you can build. Also, EMET-SELCH is sometimes good by itself. It's a 3 mana that discards your amalgam or stuff you don't need, like lands and getting rid of the flood. You can also sacrifice it on both Flare of Denial and Flare of Malice. And this deck was just pure gas. I actually did, I think, 19-6 overall score with this deck, 19-6. And this is like immediately after I brewed it and without any tweaking. So basically only tweak I did for this video is remove one prized amalgam from the deck to add 21st land. I think I lost couple of trophies due to being mana screw and not able to find that second land. So I added another land in Sink into Stupor. I think 21 will be a sweet spot for this build, and that's it. So in the meantime, I'm mostly done tweaking by replacing cards in the sideboard, and I like this sideboard now a lot. I have a couple of Thought Seizes there. Trespasser is such a good Unearthed Cetonia Nightmare target in post-board games when you're playing against Flage or anything else, actually. No hard graveyard hate like Nihil Spellbomb or Surgical or whatever, that could be played, of course, if necessary. I mainly wanted the graveyard hate for Flage, so I think two Trespassers and here two Boggart Rollers are enough for that also. Flare of Denials and Flares do sometimes very good job against Flage. Okay, so that is it. A very, very simple deck, but very effective, and it's just brutally strong. I stomped through leagues. Like every league lasted maximum hour and a half, and the matches were quick. I was doing like super, super strong things. Games I lost were mostly due to mana screw or just not finding the right pieces, like drawing hands with three Narcomoeba and the amalgams and stuff like that is always possible. But this version of a deck reduces this type of hands maximally. We don't have any bad cards in this deck aside from our enablers Narcomoeba and Amalgam, which works so good in this deck. And uh, yeah, the card I often trimmed in the post-board games were like one or two Amalgams, so that's why I decided to trim one to add 21st land, and that's it. So but I always keep like at least two amalgams in. They always come up accidentally and they're pretty solid. Okay, so that is all. Before we go to the gameplay, let me remind you of my Decktionary profile. Link is down below in the video description. So these two tiers are Zoo tiers and Eldrazi tier as well. So in the base tier I got 9 guides, and a lot of them are fresh and very recent. So Chocobo Zoo, Cecil Zoo, Zookeeper with the Doorkeeper Thrall, Emperor of the Bones version, lot of zoo guides out here, plus Dimir Frog, Obosh Ketramos, which I'm now also will be making new video soon for Obosh Ketramos. In the zoo tier, I got Tifa Zoo, Fable Zoo, Frog Zoo, a lot of zoo guides here. If you're interested in Zoo, check that out. Okay. Also, Eldrazi tier is completely separate from Zoo and contains four different sideboard guides for Eldrazi aggro builds. Okay. Also, check out wall post guides. I will be making them weekly, at least one post. Okay. So that's it. We can now go to the gameplay and see how that went. Okay. Okay. So in match one, I played Hedron Crab turn one because I had two Hedron crabs. So even if they kill my first one, I feel pretty good about doing something strong on turn two with Unearthed. This hand is actually like truly amazing. And we can see opponents taking my crab here with Kozilek's command. I'm okay with that. So I go for a Hedron crab, then play a fetch. This is the usual thing often what I do. And yeah, here I go mill 6 and I find Oculus. There are 4 Oculus in a deck and milling 6 is a lot of milling. So I find turn 2 Oculus and Oculus finds Amalgam, puts Amalgam in the graveyard. And next turn I'll be able to play EMET-SELCH and put 7 more cards in the yard, which will be enough for EMET-SELCH flip. So we are playing against Eldrazi's, and Eldrazi don't play that much removal, so it will be hard for them to kill my EMET-SELCH. So let's see what happens. Okay, actually they are playing Brute Scale, not Eldrazi, but that it's not that different nowadays. Okay, so I go for Watery Grave, and I gem my EMET-SELCH here. So turn 3 EMET-SELCH already have Oculus on the field. I draw, discard another card, and here is 16 cards in my graveyard at this point. So I'll definitely be um, flipping EMET-SELCH if they don't kill it. And the opponent has Flesh Shaker on the field, but I'm on a 14 life, and it doesn't seem like they have combo at this point. Opponent plays Sephiroth and passes the turn, so I flip my EMET-SELCH, and yeah, now Emmet goes absolutely crazy. Okay, so I can play all cards from my graveyard, and I have strong cards in my deck like Unearthed, which just provide so much broken things for just 1 mana. Okay, I have so much to do here. First, I go for attack. I think I don't have a kill this turn. my opponent survives. On 3 life, they will have a chance to probably. I can also play. This was interesting. I wanted to surveil. I wanted to kill this flesh raker or just to find a removal here. So I unearthed another Emmet-Selch to be able to use the fatal push. So I have fatal push in case my opponent draws the brute scale. I can stop their combo. That was the thing I was mostly interested in. So I can play one more spell, but I got to keep fatal push in my hand. So I play another unearth and Bogart Roller remove their graveyard. I don't want to let them play a miracle or something crazy like that. Okay, so I pass a turn. I have Fatal Push in hand in case my opponent has Brute Scale. I have Fatal Push to stop it. So let's see what happens. Opponent starts with Ancient Stirrings, then goes for Kozilek Command, tries to dig. They're digging for their Brute Scale, but at this point they are missing green mana to combo off. So yeah, opponent ends up not having anything actually and just concedes. So that is the game. Okay, so against Brute Scale combo, I think I want my Conscience, and I think Flare of Malice is decent. Uh, Okay, so as I said, I did not have the sink into stupor here. I had 4 amalgams in this league, and consigns are great against them. Obviously, it counters everything except for Rumble, Sephiroth, stuff like that. So I bring in a couple of when I'm bringing in harbingers, I'm usually cutting Emmet-Selch or amalgams depending on the matchup. And here I wanted the consigns as well. Let's see how game 2 went. Okay, opponent doesn't play much basics. They do have halfling. Okay, I don't know how important halfling is for them, but yeah, it's not really like just big important. But I usually say my fatal push to kill like the brute scale. In this situation, I decided to go for halfling. Okay, I have another fatal push now. This is decent. I'm holding consign to memory, and I have fatal push as well on their turn. So end of turn, my opponent doesn't do much. I jump with my Stitcher Supplier, then I go for Otherworldly Gaze, keeping a land on top, and now I can cast my Oculus. This is risky, but I rather do it now than on later turn when they're resolving their saga. So I'm risking a bit here, playing my Oculus, and now I have Oculus on the field. If they don't kill me this turn, I will untap with Consign and Fatal Push. Seems like a good situation. And but yeah, opponent finds Brute Scale, opponent finds Blade, so the risk was not worth it, and the opponent finds the kill. Should have holded with Oculus, but yeah, so I had 2 Oculus, had to play one to not just die to them playing spells with the Flash Raker. I had to raise a bit. So I played it, and yeah, it didn't pay off. Opponent, I wanted to play it before they resolve their saga because on that turn they would have they would have Blade for sure. Okay, so I went for Hedron Crab and just played Phyrexian Tower, mill 3. I have 3 fatal push actually, Phyrexian Tower to enable my fatal push. Okay, opponent goes for brute scale. I pass a turn, so now I go for a Stitcher Supplier, and I think I can now safely just sacrifice the Stitcher Supplier. I get back my Narcomoeba from the graveyard, so basically didn't lose anything here. I don't think there is a point in fatal pushing one of these halflings, so I just pass a turn, hold my pushes. Next turn, I can cast Oculus, hoping for a land to hoping for a land definitely to be able to cast Oculus plus hold, consign, or fatal push. Opponent goes for ancient stirrings, and they find the blade of the blood chief, cast the blade, and pass the turn. Okay, here is unearthed and so many strong spells here. I first attack for 1 damage, sacrifice Narcomoeba. Yeah, they trigger Sephiroth. Yeah, but that's not that important at the moment. I kill the Sephiroth, and then I unearth my Oculus, and I still have mana to hold Consign and Fatal Push, and I'm doing all this with just 2 lands on the field, and that's really amazing. With a strength of Pyrexian Tower in this deck. Okay, so opponent goes for a Rumble. Opponent goes for Rumble, and I think they put another blade in their hand. That was a bit weird. Okay, so they go for brute scale, and I decided to hold consign in my hand, and in this situation, use fatal push instead. Okay, so no land for me, which means I will be holding a consign and not playing anything. Just going in for 7 damage is good enough. Again, just milling 2 lands and not drawing land, but yeah. Okay, opponent doesn't have much at this point, but they have blades, they have um, halflings, 2 halflings, and they can grow the halfling with blade ability. Okay, and again, no land for me, but I go attack with everything, and yeah, maybe this attack was not worth it. Yeah, probably not. It was obvious what are they're going to block like, but yeah. Okay, so opponent kills one of my creatures, and I pass a turn. Again, I'm holding that consign, and now my opponent is on 5 life, and they have a fatal push on my Oculus. Can't do anything about that, but I finally draw my land for a turn, so this means now I can finally cast my other Oculus. And yeah, I grow their halving a bit, but that just doesn't matter because I have 5 damage next turn flying. They can't stop it unless they have another Oculus, and that is the match. Okay, let's check out match 2. Okay, so match 2 playing against Domain Zoo. Have a bunch of removal, and I think this was game 2 actually, because I see Flare of Malice here. I decided to go for a turn 1 supplier. I find Amoeba completely blocking their uh, Ragavan. In case they play Sino Draco, I have Flare of Malice, so pretty good situation for me here. I'm tapping with a bunch of removals, and yeah, this just looks so good. So I'm at this point I'm only waiting to find. Here is Oculus is great, and I sacrifice Teacher Supplier. I have Oculus in the graveyard, but I sacrifice Teacher Supplier to be able to play both Fatal Push and Psychic Frog this turn. And I stay back with Amoeba. I also have a Frog, so 2 blockers. And they go for like Tribal Flames my Frog and Bolt my Amoeba to connect with Ragavan. But my opponent is at this point at 0 cards in hand, and yeah, that's pretty bad situation for them. I decide to just push the Ragavan and play a fetch, go for a surveil, see what I have. Sorry, go for a swamp, because in case just in case I draw the Harbinger, I have 2 boarded in Harbingers, and I didn't feel like surveilling maybe is that important when I'm so far ahead. Okay, so I mill 3 more and I play Bogart Troller. Bogart Troller, good at this point, providing decent attacker, 3-1 attacker. They have to do something about that. I have Hedron Crab on the field and Flare of Malice in my hand. So again, a great situation. And here is another Stitcher Supplier. And I find another Narcomoeba. I can start attacking with Bogart Troller. Um, my opponent decides to jump to trade, and now opponent plays a brawler, but I just I could go for Unearth, of course. I just wanted to continue attacking, kill their brawler, and they are now on 0 cards. There's just nothing basically they can do at this point. I unearth my Oculus. I go for Unarmed Oculus and play Trespasser. Trespasser is great in situations like this, like when they are low on cards in hand. It's so hard to get rid of it, and it's draining life, gaining me life. And here I find another Oculus with manifested card, and yeah, this is game over. Definitely, my opponent kills Oculus, play Territorial Cow, but even that is not enough. I mill more cards with Hedron Crab, and I go in with everything. Sorry, not everything, just my flyers here. Attack my opponent down to 5 life. Next turn, they are dying to Oculus attack. And yeah, that is it. That was a match against Domain Zoo. Very, very clean wins. And let's go check out match 2. Okay, so in these situations, what you mostly want to do is like hold surveil on turn one, then turn two play Hedron Crab plus another spell. But in this situation, I have Otherworldly Gaze, so I can play it a little differently. I can go for a gaze. Okay, so here I'm trying to find Unearthed. That was what I'm looking for, and I did find it. So that was a great play. Actually, I go for another basic, mill my graveyard, trying to find something good. But amazingly, this time, no targets for my Unearthed. So at this point, I have gaze in the yard. And I did return the amalgam and amoeba to play, so that's not bad. Opponent here triggering the Core Steel Cutter. I have a Fatal Push getting rid of the Channeler. Monk Token will attack me, but that's fine. Okay, so I can go for Otherworldly Gaze in my upkeep and try to find that land to mill more cards, but at this point my opponent heals my Hedron Crab, so that's not that important. Okay, I have Amalgam Amoeba in my hand. A Flare of Denial is always a good top deck in a situation like this when you have blue creatures on the field. Okay, so I go for attack, stay back with Amalgam as a blocker, and hold Fatal Push and this turn. I can also just go for a gaze. I think I'm a, I want to find something I can unearth. Unfortunately, still a lot of cards in my graveyard. I still did not find what I was looking for. And I go for a Stitcher Supplier. Stitcher Supplier is looking at 3 more cards. I did find at least like a Bogart Roller in the graveyard at this point. I have 2 blockers on the field, Flare of Denial, in case they play something relevant. Here they go, like Dragon Rage Channeler. I have Fatal Push for Channeler, but here I decide to use Flare of Denial for their Spear. They make another Monk token, but Prized Amalgam blocks them well. Here, okay, so here it is, finally Oculus, but not in graveyard, but in hand. That's decent. That's decent as well. I decide again, stay back. I can unearth the troller, but I decide just to kill a channeler and pass a turn. Okay, opponent goes for iteration, finds the land, finds a Mishra bubble. That is another monk token, and a lot of these prowess triggers. I block a monk token with 2, so we trade for amalgam. That's not a big deal for me, obviously. And here is another amalgam, kind of unlucky draws, but at this point I need my blockers and I want my amalgam back. So I decide just to unearth my Bogart Roller. This can potentially trade with one of the monk tokens. So I'm happy with that. At this point, just trying to find that third land to finally cast my Oculus. Here is a Cory Steel Cutter and the Switch Spear. That is a lot of creatures. Plus Lava Dart unfortunately clears all my blockers and wins the game for my opponent. That felt slightly unlucky. It seemed like I had everything and I was just missing that third land, but not for one turn, not 2 turns, just multiple turns trying to find that land, and it didn't happen. Okay, so I think I mainly want the flares in this matchup. Not no big changes in most cases when playing this deck. Okay, so here I go. I think it's best to go for a surveil, or if they play a creature, I can go for Watery Grave, Fatal Push them. Otherworldly Gaze goes into the graveyard, and here I go, Hedron Crab, and I think I can wait in this situation. No need to crack fetch immediately. Now I have a situation where I can mill 3 more in response to their fetching, so I mill 3 more, hold push for their turn, find a basic, and I have Emerald and Oculus in my graveyard, so if I find Unearth, it's going to be pretty good. Okay, so Channeler here plus Bubble, nothing special. I uh, should have pushed the Channeler on the end of turn. I think I forgot. Now I go for Lava Dart. Now I go for Fatal Push there. Channeler opponent will sacrifice the land to kill my crab. That's a good deal. I think that's a good deal. Now I can go for another land, play my Psychic Frog, pass a turn. They have to kill Psychic Frog. If they don't kill it, I'm gonna start drawing cards, and just a single Unearth and or a single Oculus probably going to be enough here for me to win this game. Okay, let's see what happens. Opponent goes for Channeler, and I think now it's a good situation to play my Bogart Roller. Okay, so I go for a Bogart Roller, um, remove their graveyard, make a Channeler 1-1, also remove a Dart from their graveyard. Actually, opponent is going to use their Dart to kill my Bogart Roller, that's fair. And now I can attack. Channeler is a 1-1. I can draw a card. I can also play Supplier if necessary. Yeah. I grow my frog to 2-3, and I can play Supplier here. But I decide to just play a tap land and not lose too much life. I have another land I can discard on my frog if they try to bolt it or something like that. Okay, opponent goes in for 2 damage. That's good deal for me. So I go for gaze. I go for gaze in upkeep, uh, graveyarding all 3 of my cards, and I find Hedron crab. So I decide to go for a crab, play a fetch, mill 3 more cards there, and opponent goes Unholy Heat, kills my crab in response. I mill more cards and play my Stitcher Supplier as a blocker here. Draw another card with crab. Opponent now goes Expressive Iteration, which is somehow finding them Delirium. That was a great draw for opponent actually, and they find Unholy Heat to kill my frog, but they are way behind. But this was a good turn for opponent, so I jump the Swift Spear, and yeah, unfortunately mill 3, but then draw Narcomoeba from the top. I play Narcomoeba as a jumper for Channeler at this point, and if they want to attack, they won't be able to block my frog, so let's see what happens. Here is another channeler. This one goes for attack. I jump with Amoeba and pass a turn. So now I find their push for another channeler, give flying to my frog, and I go in for damage, drawing a card. That was a big deal at this point. Okay, opponent is also just 2 cards in their hand, and yeah, unfortunately they find Bolt there to kill my frog. If just for one turn they did not find something great there, I would be able to get out of that situation. But my opponent keeps making decent top decks. Preordain great in this situation, and they find actually lethal with Preordain on that same turn, and go bolt. And yeah, my top of the library wasn't great. So yeah, that was the loss against Proves, but very, very close game. And that will end up being my only loss this league. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I went for turn one crab. I only do this when I have two crabs. So I rarely, rarely do this if I don't have a second crab in my hand. But sometimes it's just too good to miss on two crab on turn two plus a fetch or something like that. Okay, so I go for another crab, and it seems like we are maybe playing against Mono Blue Belcher. Here I am milling six cards. I don't have Unearth in my hand at this point, but I am filling my graveyard for Oculus. So I'll be able to play Oculus on curve. And I put one amoeba in on the field. At least something to start attacking. I have pushes, which are not completely useless, but not great in this matchup. At least I can kill this trainer in case they have Flare of Denial. It can be relevant. So I kill trainer immediately. I need my land now. But I think it's too risky to hope for a land. I don't play much lands, and I decide to go for a flashback gaze in the upkeep instead. Okay, so and here I find Flare of Denial from the top, and that is actually pretty solid top deck. I have Amoeba on the field, a bunch of blue creatures, so this can be pretty important top deck. This is my, I think, only Flare at the moment because one is in the graveyard. Opponent goes for Falagi, Archaeologist. They put Charbelcher to back to their hand and pass the turn. Okay, so again no land, but I decide to reanimate Frog. Maybe it was better to they use Flare of Denial immediately to prevent that. So maybe it was better to push their creature first, but then I don't do basically anything on my turn. And finally, I got that land I was trying to find for so long, milling a bunch of cards and getting the amalgams, amoebas back. And I know they have Charbelcher in their hand, and I can play my Oculus. I can play my Oculus here, and I have a Flare of Denial backup. Unfortunately, opponent has counter for Oculus, but that's fine. I now have a bunch of creatures on my side of the field. This is the Quick Clock. And Flare of Denial in my hand, of course. Okay, opponent now resolves Lotus Bloom. This is their combo turn. So they go for a Belcher, and I have a Flare of Denial, but opponent has a Disrupting Shoal plus another Flare of Denial in their hand, so they were able to combo me this turn, and I will be forced to deal with this in the game 2 and 3, boarding in Consigns, Totsis, and Flare of Denial, ready for game 2. Okay, so game 2 against Mono Blue Belcher, keeping nothing crazy, but a keepable hand only because I have one important cyber card against them and Otherworldly Geese, which can hopefully find me some good stuff. What are you trying to find with Geese is mostly like a creature in the yard plus Unearth to reanimate it, of course. So I think in this situation, everything goes to yard, and here is Unearth from the top. I can go for Surveil, but I think it's better to just play Otherworldly Gaze end of turn and try to find some good target for my Unearth. Here is the Psychic Frog that is, of course, a decent target, but I think I can also just keep Frog on top. Um, no point to put it in the yard or use my Unearth. So I just hardcast my Frog and keep Unearth in case I find Oculus. End of turn, I go for a Surveil and I keep Stitcher Supplier on top. Stitcher Supplier is help me dig for 3 more cards. So I go for a Stitcher Supplier here. I find Narcomoeba. In response, I put amalgam in my graveyard, so amoeba triggers amalgam. I grow my frog, and I keep attacking. So in case opponent has into the floodmouth here, unfortunately for me, but I think it's safe to recast my frog in this situation. And now I have a bunch of attackers. This is 6 damage on the field, and that is very strong clock. I'm discarding Hedron Crab. This situation, I have consign. I have uh, I have consigned to memory, and in this situation, I alerted the Bogart Troller because the Bogart Troller actually gives me a lethal on board for next turn. So, which means opponent will have to do something to prevent it, and I have Player of Denial, which makes me get this game too easily. And I need a bunch of interaction pieces in game two. And this deck is so good because you're able to do so. You're like a graveyard deck that basically now I'm playing like a control post board with some amount of graveyard synergies. Obviously, amoebas work even without graveyard, and amalgams are just two in the post board games. And now I have a lot of counter spells. The Flare of Denials are so strong, and consigns, everything. It just works so well in this deck. Okay, so I this is my favorite kind of um, hand. I think I think maybe okay. In case didn't have frog in this hand, I would play like Stitcher Supplier turn one in 100% of situations. But I kind of were already focused on playing a frog on turn two in this with this hand, so I decided to just play my crab on turn one, and now I have Flare of Denial to protect my frog. This was a bit risky, definitely against combo deck to use my Flare of Denial like this, but I felt like I need frog to continue applying pressure, drawing cards without giving them too much time for the combo stuff. So I decided to take a risk. Let's see if it paid off. I have to grow my frog, and I play a fetch with 2 crabs, a lot of cards. I'm hoping to hit maybe that one. What is it called? The Otherworldly Gaze to so I can with Otherworldly Gaze I would be able to surveil 3 before drawing with Psychic Frog, but I didn't hit the gaze there, so I just uh, give flying to frog and draw a card, hoping to draw a counter spell. I even grow my frog here to 3/4, just try to make my clock as good as possible, and my amalgams come back. So I have a lot of damage next turn, but it's still not enough for lethal at this point. Opponent resolves Lotus Bloom, and I did not find another counter spell in this situation, but luckily my opponent does not have Charbelcher. Sometimes they just don't have the Belcher, of course, but they have another turn here to try to top deck. So I go in with everything, obviously, put them down to 3. They have enough mana if they draw Charbelcher. I don't have many options. I just play my best creature here and pass a turn. And I decide to actually mill them and to try to just mill their Belchers. That game plan didn't quite work. Didn't mill any Belchers, but yet they did not top deck a Belcher for a turn. And I had enough damage on my part of the field to to kill them next turn. So yeah, that was it. My opponent thinks for some time, then concedes, and that was the match. Okay, so let's check out the final match of this league. Okay, so opponent plays turn one Tutsis, takes my Hedron Crab. I had to mulligan to not a great hand, really not a great hand, but yeah, sometimes Hedron Crab plus Oculus on curve on turn three can be pretty good. Fortunately, my opponent had uh, they had Tutsis there, but I keep a Crab on top again. This is giving me three cards in the graveyard with the fetch, but my opponent has another counter spell, so kills another Crab. But I'm already like three cards in the graveyard. Unfortunately for me, opponent has another Totsis plus a Psychic Frog. These amoebas are going to give me a few turns, jumping frog to try to top deck Unearth to bring back Oculus, have some chance. But opponent subtlety is my Bogart Troller, and this was a mulligan to five, so it was a hard game for me. I jump another time, hoping maybe hit another Oculus or Unearth from top that would maybe bring me back into the game, but that did not happen. So I um, I had to concede this one and try to win the next two games. Okay, so Flare of Malice go in. Um, don't think I need anything else for this matchup. I think this is a good matchup for deck. And it's a lot of times it's hard for the fair decks to keep up with the graveyard stuff. Okay, so I go for a surveil. I have one push in hand already, so I put this in the yard and I just try to resolve my Cytonian Nightmare. I think this is pretty strong. Just having resolved Nightmare on the field at any point, like uh, just a single Stitcher Supplier can win a game for me in situations like this. Okay, so I go for a Stitcher Supplier. They have Narcomoeba. I just play my amoeba, pass a turn, opponent goes for Totsis, but even if they discard EMET-SELCH or something else, I can still reanimate it, and they have to have a counter spell to do this to counter my nightmare. They pass a turn completely tapped out. That sounds like a great news to me. Okay, so now I can fatal push their Tamio. Tamio sometimes can draw a bunch of cards for them, so I just attack them for one, get back my Stitcher Supplier and hoping to hit well with Stitcher Supplier and just reanimate something strong. This paid off. I got Oculus in the yard, so I play my Nightmare again and get my Oculus immediately on turn 4, milling 3 more cards, and getting a frog with Oculus ability, such a strong situation. And now my graveyard has 11 cards with it, and now EMET-SELCH is a huge threat to my opponent as well. They go for Totsis, but they have to take care of Cytonian Nightmare. They can't take EMET-SELCH or anything else. Okay, so unfortunately, my Oculus is dead, but I'm attacking them for a lot of damage, and I have my EMET-SELCH and 14 yards in the graveyard. Next turn, my EMET-SELCH is flipping, opponent can kill it and immediately concedes even before it flips. They know it's just game over when it flips. So EMET-SELCH doing pretty good. I tried to play this brew in the past. I had this planned for a long time. Didn't just brew it overnight. I have versions of Dimir graveyard decks like Sultai Crabwine style, but more fair game or control focused for a long time, and obviously I have to mulligan this hand. This is not a keepable hand. I need a good hand for game 3 against against my Dimir opponent. I keep a risky hand, but with a bunch of very strong cards against them. Fatal pushes kill all their threats, and I just need like at least one land. And I find Bogart Traveler immediately. I wanted to go for a surveil. I wanted to go for a surveil, hoping to find more lands, and here it is. I think also finding swamp can be important in case they left out their harbingers in deck. Not sure if they would do that, but yeah. Okay, so I have a third land and the Oculus in my hand, so that is my game plan. I decide to let them deal damage with Harbinger. And turn, I go for Swamp, kill the Tamio, fill my graveyard a bit, but I decided not to use, or I did actually use. Okay, now I go for Oculus. I go for Oculus, and even if they counter it, I will still have six cards in my graveyard to cast Oculus next turn. Okay, opponent plays a frog and has two mana there, and this is so sweet. Flare of Denial was such a strong top deck in that situation. I sacrifice my Hedron Crab to Flare of Denial, the counter spell, and now I resolve Oculus, and Oculus now completely just solves this matchup. Also, finding Emmet-SELCH from the manifested card can be pretty surprising top deck in a lot of situations. Okay, so I decide to flip it, flip EMET-SELCH in case my opponent discards their all hand and tries to kill EMET-SELCH. I can just use a Flare of Malice. Okay, so opponent discards one card to make their frog survive and pass the turn. Okay, here I find a push. Amoeba comes into play. Amoeba is perfect in this situation. Being able to block frog is so good. So opponent can't attack with frog right now. And I go for Flare of Malice, hard cast, try to kill their frog, but they have counter spell. That's okay. I'm attacking with everything. They have to block two of my creatures and still die in they die not die only if they block Oculus with frog, but that's definitely losing position for them. And that's it for one league. With this build, and I actually did I think three or four 4-1 leagues. I had I think four of them. Yeah, I had a total score 19-6 with this build. These were like 3-4-1 leagues in a row. Then I did like a 3-2 league, and then I had a 0-1 drop because I had to leave concede game before end, and then I did another 4-1 league after that, and the deck felt amazing. And it's a new brew. Just tried for the first time and immediately went on such a hot run with the deck, and the deck feels like very strong. I'm super hyped about this one. I think this is like maybe the best graveyard focused deck at the moment, uh, which is not. It doesn't have just some interaction with the graveyard. It's like very. Sorry, the best graveyard deck is definitely I think Gorios. Gorios is super strong at the moment, in my opinion. But this is probably like the second best one. Then and it's completely different. It's completely different. It's focusing on not big creatures but the small ones, which are very powerful, all of them. And that's it. Hope you liked the list. I think the gameplay was really fun, and I think this list is really special, and I think it will be big deal for a lot of players wanting to play a graveyard focused deck. And this deck is not expensive, and it is very strong. The most expensive card is Oculus and Frog. Everything else is like very affordable. I think this is also a big deal. So very cheap and very competitive deck for modern. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Friendly reminder for the end: click like, click subscribe, of course, comment down below, and once again, goodbye. Thank you for watching.